I'll throw this off. Okay, so everybody today, Vidi, who is fluent in Python programming, will share a few more advanced tips on how to use Python. I think the last time the promise was that we would learn how to do some web scraping, so we look forward to seeing that happen today. Okay,
Yep.
take it away, Vidi.
Initially, I wanted to do web scraping, but I figured that pre-processing data is more relevant to our operations.
Sounds good.
So we are doing Pandas today. So I assume that let's create a new notebook and let's follow. We can kind of like I kind of want to show the summary of what we did yesterday, like last meeting. Sorry. Okay. So what we did last meeting, just to summarize, we learned about variable initialization, how to assign values to variables, and how to do operations on them, how to print them, and so on and so forth. Then we also did conditional operations on how to set a condition to determine which script will be executed. Then we also learn about functions, what are functions basically, and how to call them. And we also learn about looping. Looping is basically iterating over a list of data. So now what we're going to do is do something more applicable in the daily operationals. I'm going to be sending a data set basically, so that we can do it together.
Yay!
So this is very real because I will send the data that we have in our database. Basically, a lot of people are asking me about inquiries, right? Like how are we doing? What are the inquiries, and so on and so forth. I will share this on our WhatsApp group. Let's see. Okay, so if you guys would, please download the data set and extract it, basically.
Okay, and I am looking for this on the 4.0.
On WhatsApp, our WhatsApp group.
Okay. 4.0 or?
Yep, 4.0.
Okay.
Right. So what we will do in the beginning is to take the data. Let me share my screen again. We will take our data here and then just drag it here. Okay, so this will make our data usable in this environment. Okay, now we have our data. Now we have to download the dependency, which is Pandas, right? Because we're going to use Pandas. What is Panda? Panda is basically a library. A library is a package which contains all the functions that is already pre-made, pre-built function. So you don't have to code it from scratch. You just have to execute the functions. For example, in Excel, you have different functions, right? Like sum, count, you have average, and lookup, and all these functions. It's basically the same in Python. And how you import Pandas? First, you have to make sure you install Pandas. So you put an exclamation mark, then you write pip install Pandas. And you run it, and the operation will be done. Okay. And as far as I think that in Google Colab, they already provide you with the basic libraries. So sometimes if there are errors, you can install the Pandas using pip, or you can directly use it like this. So import Pandas as PD. So what does importing mean? Importing means you include the package in your script as if you've already coded, and then put it in your workspace, and therefore you can use the codes basically. Now, let's try to load a data set from using Pandas. So you have a data set, and let's say we want the inquiry.csv. So inquiry underscore data set is equal to Pandas dot, and you call the method name read underscore CSV.
Oh, Vidi, really quickly, how are you able to load the files on that left sub window?
Is there an error?
No, I'm okay. So I got kind of lost. I'm sorry for slowing you down, but after
no,
you got
no,
the
no.
data set, how did you load it back into the Colab browser?
So after you have the CSV file here,
Okay.
and we have to open our Google Colab,
Yeah.
make sure you connect the runtime. So
Okay.
in this part, you connect it first until you can see this
Yes.
check mark,
Yep.
right?
Okay.
And you open here the files,
Okay. Open. Yep.
and then just drag and drop the files.
Oh, okay. All right. Fantastic. I'll do that right
Yeah.
now. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Done.
Everyone got their files ready? For Farah is new to this course, so we're using Google Colab. We can open it in collab.research.google.com. Basically, it will open a window with online, right?
Can you send the link in on the chat tab chat?
This is the link. Yep, and then you can create a new Python notebook. Okay. So we'll wait for a bit. So what we're going to do in this session is try to pre-process data. The outcome of this session is to be able to have to produce a CSV containing the list of inquiries and along with their property names, basically, and be able to count. Oh, from this from the range of this date to that date, how many inquiries do we receive in this particular property? So that's the outcome of the session. So after importing the pandas library, so this is abbreviation. You can actually stop here, but then you have to write the full name here, right? pandas.read_csv. But then because we will use it a lot of programmers actually create alias like as pd, so that you just have to do pd.read_csv. So this is basically the same as what we did last week. It's called a function. A function receives some input and produce an output. The difference is after we produce an output, we directly assign them to this variable inquiry_dataset. So we see that our file name is inquiry.csv, which we have downloaded from the WhatsApp group, and we enter here the name of the file, inquiry.csv. And we run this part and create another code to print the inquiry.csv variable. Okay. So if you're saying this, this means that you have successfully loaded the inquiry_dataset into this variable. Everyone's okay?
Okay. Wait, give me a second here. I don't have the exact same readout as you do, Vidi. So I'm not sure why, but okay. Let me. Can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So this is what I see on my side. All right. Hey, welcome in, buddy. Okay.
I got you.
So this is what I got. I took the data set and I've loaded it over here.
Right.
And I import pandas as.pd. But I saw that you had like little numbers up here. Is that for?
The numbers are actually just lines of codes.
Okay.
So for programmers, so that it's easy, we can refer each line. You can do you can put the numbers this way.
It's just a comment.
So,
okay. All right.
Yes. I'll try to share my screen again, and the numbers can be accessed here: tools, settings, and then in the editor, show line number.
I see.
Because sometimes you can say that there's an error in line 10, there's an error in line 15, there's an error in line 50, so that other programmers can quickly figure out which line has a bug.
Understood. Okay, thank you for that share. Okay, all right, I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we've printed our data set here. So in this line 2, in this block, line 2, we've as we see here, I printed my data set. So what do we do after this? We'll try to analyze this data, right? I want to know how many columns, what are the columns inside the data set. So what I'll do is actually to print the column names. And you can do this by accessing the data set, Okay, so if you notice here, it's called a recommender system. They kind of use AI in like guessing or basically like accessing what you could potentially write. So they already suggested me that, oh, inside inquiry underscore dataset, you have attribute called columns. So yeah, let's print that.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. So from here we receive two outputs, right? First, the dataset itself and the columns in the dataset. In Excel, you can see this in the first row. And what's good about Pandas is that it can kind of like automatically know which one is the column name. Usually, it's located in the first record, in the first line of your Excel code, Excel file. And then like what I've told you before, programmers start with the number 0. So this is record 0, record 1, record 2, record 3, and so on and so forth.
Got it.
Now, we want to access basically we don't want all the data, right? Because from here you can you can see the column names. We have the inquiry received, which is the timestamp, the inquiry guest name, inquiry underscore title, inquiry message, conversation ID, listing ID, and so on and so forth. So what do we need here? We have to think as a data scientist, we have to be able to pre-process this data and think, what do I need and what do I not need? Because it will be easier on the computation time, it will take less time, and so on and so forth. So how do you do that? To do that, for example, if I want to access just one column in the data set, in the data frame, actually, so Pandas use this data type called data frame. This is a frame, and it contains data. So let's say I want just the inquiry underscore received. So I will say that, okay, I have a variable called inquiry underscore received is equal to the data set, the whole data set, and I will take just a portion of it. I will only take a part of it. How do I do that? Just like we did in the list yesterday. We can do this. So it's a square bracket, and we just have to define the column name. They already give us a list, right? Which one do you want? So I tell Pandas that I want the inquiry. Which one again?
No, that's really cool. I didn't know you did that. Yeah, I'm watching this. Yeah.
Inquiry. Inquiry received. Okay, there. And then if we try to run it again and just print in line 6, inquiry received, there will be 3 output. First, the whole data set. The second one, the columns inside the data set. And the third is just the data content in the inquiry received. So up until this point, any errors, or are there any like questions?
Yeah, Vidi.
Lilis, can you get the script running?
Okay. Vidi, I have a question. So
Yep.
I'm beginning to understand this, actually. It's pretty cool. So I see on the data set, the nomenclature, the way that it's written is it's trying to print out the entire data set, but
Yes.
it uses ... to sort of make it just gives you the kind of like the ends, right? It kind of
Right.
gives you the 4 corners, the top corner, the left corner, the right corner, and the bottom
Right.
corner. Okay, so I understand the print for the inquiry data set. I understand the columns, it's printing out each of the major columns. And then when it
Yep.
goes to inquiry received, why is it that I only see the date and then the time for inquiry received?
Oh, because it's what's in the CSV file. Because if you open the CSV file, actually,
Oh, it's when the inquiry was received. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
okay, that's it.
Yeah, that
Right.
makes sense. Okay.
Okay,
Alright.
so Lilis, maybe I'll go around and ask whether there are any questions. Lilis, are you able to get the program running?
Actually, my internet is slow, so kind of following first. We'll
Oh.
try by watching it again.
Okay, right. Kara, okay.
I was like, I get this, 100%. So easy. Why
I
don't
would
you
love
speed up, Vidi?
I would love to do, I see this as an introduction, so I would prefer to like notice first, yeah.
Okay, of course. You guys, it's Python is very beginner friendly in the sense that the language itself is very very English. So let's try to decipher this. So I want to import a library called Pandas, and I want to alias it as PD, so that I don't have to write here pandas dot read CSV, pandas dot this, pandas dot that. So I can just write it PD dot something. So that's aliasing. And here we have a variable. Variable is very much like a variable in mathematics. It's like x, y, and you can assign values to them. X equals to 3, y equals to hello, z is equal to whatever object. Z is a dog, a is bird, for example. It's very much like that. So here I wrote inquiry underscore dataset is equal to, and then I call pandas, and inside pandas we already have a function called read underscore CSV. It is used to read the CSV that we have load here, and we just need to determine. We just have to declare the file name. So because our file name is inquiry.csv, so I said I tell the interpreter inquiry underscore dataset. I want the value to be based on the CSV inquiry.csv. So that's basically
Okay.
the good thing.
Like, your screen is quite different than mine.
How can you show your screen?
Wait. Let me... It's like so blank. Oh yeah. Because I didn't join the beginning, right?
Yep.
I'm pretty late,
Ara,
I guess.
it's easy, Ara.
Just like this.
Okay. Oh yeah, of course. You just need to. So first, you have connected to the. Yep, you're connected, and then you select the third tab here, the third tab,
Okay. This one.
and then you just have the files that I've shared in the group. Just drag and drop it here.
Okay.
Right, and then after it's uploaded, then you just have to follow the writing. Initially, it's also like this. My code will also look like this, right? It's empty. But then I will start writing the code. Import pandas as PD. Let's say that's the first code you'll be writing. Okay. Okay. So what about Kabayu? All good? Of course, right?
Oh, Ara, you have to unzip. Sorry, that sounds really weird out of context, but you'll gotta. Yeah.
Unzip the files.
You'll need to extract the file. So double click it.
Oh.
Okay. And then you.
Kabayu, okay, right?
No, I'm still installing actually. So
Actually, we're using the web-based interpreter, but I think
we are using Colab. Okay.
Colab, yeah.
Done.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Eddie,
I'll use that. Yep.
quick question. How does Colab know that this is a Python script?
Oh, because Google Colab is only used for Python script. So the intent of Google Colab is mostly for data science,
Okay.
and the de facto programming language for data science is Python. That's why Python is great.
That was
Right.
hilarious. That was such a rookie question. I'm sorry I asked that. Okay. My next question is, what should I name this file? Like,
Okay, so usually a file name and good programming practice should reflect the content of the file. For example, inquiry. Inquiry. I don't know. What's the
things for inquiry training. .ip.
I say, or maybe usually I just for example, this is session 2, session underscore 2,
Right. Okay.
right?
Okay. All right.
Okay, so Aldo, hello.
Hello, what should I do?
Okay, so after you open the Google Colab, upload the files that are sent in the group into the one that Mr. Jing is showing in the third tab. Just upload it basically, and then we can run this script.
CSV?
Yep.
The CSV one?
Yes, the CSV, correct.
The CSV one. Yeah.
Kara, all good?
Okay. Doing right now.
All good.
All good? Okay, so just to summarize a little bit,
Okay.
let's say what you're starting with is an empty script like this, right? It's empty. So first, what I did was to import pandas, and then I alias it as PD. So pandas is a library which contains all the code that we will be using. Just like the function in Excel, you have sum, average, mean, whatever. It also contains the same kind of thing. Then what I did was just to write this code again. I declare a variable and put I called the read underscore CSV stating the file name into inquiry underscore dataset, and also inquiry underscore received. I kind of slice. This is called slicing. It means that from, let's say I have only this. Okay, so I floated the CSV and I will print the variable. The result is this, right? But I don't want all the file. Sometimes I just want maybe one file, two file. And how do I know the content of the column? By printing inquiry underscore dataset dot column. Then I will get all the column names, right? So now I have to pick what file, what columns do I need in this kind of operation. So I'll say, okay, I want my dataset to be equal to inquiry underscore dataset, and I will slice it. Mind this two hard braces, two square brackets, because it's a list. I want a list, and a list is always enclosed with a square bracket. A list of names. So I want, okay, I'll say I want inquiry received, let's say, inquiry underscore received, and I also want the, let's say, inquiry message. I want to analyze what the guests are saying in the first message, and I also want listing ID because it will connect me to the listing name that we have in our database. And I also want, what else? I think that's pretty much it, right? Okay. So when I print dataset now, so I have the inquiry dataset and I have the dataset. There are two different things, two different variables. I have two outputs. First, inquiry received and all the dataset. And next, only the dataset itself. So if we see here, there are 17 columns, and we only took 3 columns containing inquiry received, inquiry message, and listing ID. So let's see, inside dataset, what's the inquiry message, right? Inquiry underscore message. I'll run this. So yeah, there I got all the message, the first message. Okay, so now maybe as a test, Mr. Jing, can you please show us how to print listing ID?
Okay. Thank you for that test. I am. Ah, God damn it! What did you have to do? I was gonna look at your thing. Okay. I like this. I'm game for this thing, but I'm getting all these errors right here. So let me see if I actually get this right. So
Right.
all right. So I was trying to copy what you did. Inquiry received is an inquiry data set here, and let me actually print inquiry received. Okay, all right, here. Oh wait, I've already done that. Shit. Okay, sorry about that. I'm clumsy. So I printed the data set. I printed that, and what was it that you wanted, Vidi?
I want the listing ID.
Okay, all right. So if I'm gonna look for the listing ID, I would go inquiry. Okay, all right. I would do that, and then print data set. Okay, let's hope that works. So get rid of that, and let's. Oh, did I do it? Yes, I got it.
There you go.
Ah, I win.
Okay. Yep. Very much like that. So what Mr. Jing did was slicing these listing ID and put it into the dataset and print the dataset itself. That's right. Okay. So that's one dataset, right? That's one dataset. But then we have several datasets that we want to combine, right? So we just basically do the same thing. So I have another variable called listing underscore dataset, and I do another read underscore CSV and call the listing name, the file name, which is listing.csv. And then because I'm pretty sure that this listing underscore dataset contains the listings that we have in our database. So let's try to print that out. Listing underscore dataset. Yep, there you have it. We have the listing ID and we have whatever content it is, right? Let's try to look at the columns. Okay, we have all these columns: listing ID, listing name, listing onboard date, listing status, and whatever we have, right? So we want to take another, we want to slice this listing data set and just take what we need, because we want to, in the end, we want the property name, because the property name is actually located in this property.csv. So what connects property name to the listing? So they are the listing ID. So we have this. So the property ID, sorry. So I have another data set. Let's say I have the first one will be inquiry. Let's say inquiry underscore data set, and I will renew this inquiry data set as only a section of it, and I will also renew listing data set only as a section of listing data set, and I will pick up the listing ID. I will pick up the property ID and maybe the listing name, listing underscore name, because it's a human readable. Okay, so let's see listing data set again. Okay, there you go. There you go. So we have a listing data set that contains only 3 columns, which contain listing ID, listing name, and property name. Okay, so next I will introduce you guys to the concept of joining something. So in database, we actually separate data as only a part of its own, and sometimes why? Because it is to save. If we collect everything at the same place, it will be very slow. The computation will be very slow. So we separate it as different tables. For example, let's open the CSV file. Let's say. Oh, it's pretty slow, right? Okay, let's say we know that this is the content, right? Listing ID, and then we also want to print the inquiry underscore data set. It pretty much looks like this. So what's the same thing between these two tables? Maybe Aldo? Is Aldo still around?
Aldo's there, but his screen is blank.
Okay, maybe let's. What's the same thing between the first data set and the second data set?
The number of number of column.
Listing ID.
The number of column is correct, right? But how do you
Oh,
kind of like
content.
join? Yes.
Oh, the content you mean?
Yes, the content. What's the same? What can be used to join?
Yeah, as Jing said, listing ID.
Listing ID, correct. So we want to somehow connect the first table, the data set, into the second data set and combine it through the listing ID. So how do we do this? So let's say it's very simple. So first we have let's say we call it a combined underscore data set, and we just have to write pandas dot merge. So it's a merge operation. And then what's the left? What do you want to be the left data set and the right data set? So the left data set, let's say what we are focusing on is the inquiry. So we put inquiry underscore data set as the left table. On the right table, we have the listing underscore data set. And then how? How do you want to combine it? So there are various methods to combine a table. Let's see, I think I have it saved here. So these are called joins. If you know set theory, it's something we learned all of this in kind of like junior high school or high school, I think. So if we have a set A and set B, and we want to combine what's the same thing, like a Venn diagram, usually this is the intersection, right? This is called an inner join. But then if you want to just focus on the left part, you call it a left join. So it includes all the data that is present in both in the table A, but also includes all data B, which also has the same key as data A. So this is basically the visualization. So what we will use here is only the left join because we want to focus on the inquiries itself. Okay, so what we do is how. Then we just have to tell this the function that I want it to be a left join, and then we have to tell them how to join it, right? So we tell them, oh, join it on the listing ID.
Ah. Vidi,
There you go.
quick question. Can you go back to that Venn diagram with all the different joins again?
Right.
What is the difference between all the different types of left joins? There's a left join at the top left and then one in the top middle.
Okay, right. So there's a difference between this left join. Visually, we see that this left join will contain all the values of A,
Right.
and only includes the value of B, which has the intersection in the value of A.
Got it.
But this one, we will only output the value of A, which is not present in the values of B.
Got it.
So the red part is the output that we will expect.
Interesting. Okay.
So here we have a left join. So we tell this function we want the left table to be inquiry underscore dataset, the right one to be listing underscore dataset. How? Join it on the left on listing ID. So let's see what's the content of this combined dataset. Okay. Yep. So let's see. Okay. So what's present in this? Wait. Left. There are 5 columns, right? So there are 5 columns because we have 3 columns on the left, 3 columns on the right, and we join it by a single key. So the total will be 5 columns.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And we can actually print this out, actually. Let's say I want to, and how do we produce a CSV file? It's very simple in Pandas. So what we do is just combine underscore dataset dot to underscore CSV and the name of the file. So we may say result.csv. But then because it will take a long time to open, let's just limit it into only like 5 top data, for example. So we run this. Where is the file? Interesting. The file doesn't exist. This is why I don't like Google Colab. Okay, let's try. Let me show you in Visual Studio Code, right? It's my native tongue. Okay, so we have it here, and I'll put this the Finder. Where is the Finder? And I have all the files. I will move it here. Okay. What do I have here? Okay, so the result is a CSV that will contain the combination of the property ID, listing name, and listing ID, and also the time received. Wow. This is the message, listing ID, the listing name, and also the property ID, right? So next, but the property ID itself, for a lot of people, they are confused. What's the property if the property ID is this? So we also have to combine. The property table, basically. So maybe, Liz, are you coding though? Are you just following or you're coding?
She's writing a message to her boyfriend.
Oh, okay. Maybe just tell me what to write if I want to combine the property data set. Hello? Just tell me what to write. So what should I do, Lilis, if I want to add the property that
Close just now.
up?
Can you repeat the question, Vidi?
Okay, I want to include this property name because the result is only the property ID, right? I don't know the name, right? So I want to combine the data with the data that I have in property.csv. How do I do that?
By
First, I have to
identify what is different.
yes, but then how do I put this property.csv into my code?
Make the what is that? The definition of, for example, like property
Property
dataset.
underscore dataset, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's the same as that one.
Oh. Equal.
Equal to you don't need
CSV.
CSV, then property.csv.
CSV, right. So I have it already. Now, how do we analyze it? Aldo, do you remember? How do I get all the column names? Aldo is gone.
You go property dataset.column. Right?
Yes, right. Property dataset.column. There you go. So we have the list of print property.
Oops, overflow.
Property underscore dataset.column. So yeah, this we have property ID, owner ID, property name. So what do we need?
Listing ID.
No. There's no listing ID in this.
Joint
Property ID.
Property ID, right? Property ID, and also the property
name.
Yeah, and from here we can see like we have these features that define the property, whether the property is a villa, whether the property is a guest house, whether the property is a apartment or whatever from the property type, right? So this is how we retrieve this information basically. So yeah, Kabayu, maybe how do we slice this data set and get what we need?
Okay, so I'm actually having problem finding this one. So can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so basically, we are already getting the inquiry here, right?
Yep, correct.
And then getting the listing and then the property.
Yep, correct.
And then I merge between inquiry and listing.
Correct.
By using listing ID.
Yes, correct.
And then after that, I'm relating this one, the one that we have already combined between inquiry and listing, into the property.
Correct.
But
there's an error because you forgot to put the apostrophe before after the left.
Oh my God!
So that's the error. Yeah. Yeah, the code is correct.
Okay.
Right. That's correct.
Is it working now?
It should be. It should be working.
Yep,
it's working.
Wow! Don't you hate that? That's
of course.
me.
So we have again property data set is equal to property underscore data set double quote. We have the property ID, and also we have the property name, for example. And let's say I want to include the property type. That's right. Yep.
Quick question. So why do we need to have a double square bracket?
Oh, double square bracket. So here initially we have a property underscore dataset with a square bracket. We slice something, right? We want them to kind of like recognize, I want to put something in here. But coincidentally, because we want multiple things, we enclose it with another square bracket so that they can iterate over the list. So actually, it will be something like, if I translate it, it will be something like, I want property ID. I want property dataset, property name, sorry.
Okay.
And I want property type.
Mm.
So because we put it into a list, it's because these are three different thing, right? Three different value data. And in the last session, we already discussed that if we want to iterate over a single multiple files, multiple values, we can just put it into a list. So it's enclosed into this list.
Mm.
The function is property download. Okay, all right.
So this is a list, right? The list will be translated. Oh, I want property ID here, I want property name here, and I want property type here.
Yeah.
So if we make it short, we can put the double square bracket.
Okay.
There you go.
Wait,
Okay, that's correct.
so if you don't put it, it isn't a list anymore. The computer, if you get rid of, let's say, the inner square brackets, then
Yeah.
Python will not see that as a list anymore.
Yes, it will. They will kind of think that there's an error. It thinks that there's a key called property name and property type. The column name, they will kind of like combine.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Cool. Interesting. All right.
By putting the square bracket, the inner square bracket, you kind of like ask them to iterate over each value in this list. Okay, so next you have combine underscore dataset is equal to pandas.merge. The left one will be itself. The right one will be the property dataset. How do you want to combine it? By
Left.
join on property ID. And if you run this code and just convert it to CSV, let's see. Session 2, and I'll have this combined underscore dataset. Okay, then I run it. Wait, DataFrames doesn't have attribute dataset. Oh, sorry, not dataset. Yeah. Okay, then I will see the result again, and we'll preview the result. I will have the property name here in my dataset.
Cool.
So from here, usually what I do for people who request my data, I just send them this, and then they can operate it in Excel, right? To count, like simple count or whatever. And the property type here refers to another index. For example, 2 may be villa, 2 is villa, right? Because we have Megaland, lot 6,
Yes.
record as villa, 2 Villa Shanti. 4, I don't know what's the hideaway. 4 is maybe guest house or something.
Resort.
Resort, yeah, okay, resort, right? Property type is resort. So from here, we can kind of like count how many resorts are asked, how many villas are asked from this set of data. So we want to go one step further. So we do the operation here in Python. So what do we do? So what we do is very similar to Excel. Yeah.
Vidi, I want to ask question first.
Yep. Oh.
Maybe actually you have the project to like the database about amenities, right?
Yes, correct.
I haven't opened it, but is that through this way or another way?
For the amenities, when we have the data already, it's like this. But the first step of getting this amenities is collecting from the Airbnb page. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the collection in the Airbnb page. This is recorded and will be uploaded, right? No, we're not scripting. We're not scripting.
Scrape all the amenities off, and then you're able to create a data set, and then from that.
Yes, that's what we do. Sorry, what's the CTO name of Airbnb?
Hey,
Yeah,
Wait. Wait. my CTO is Kabayo, right? Okay, Nate. Okay, so yeah, it's basically the same thing. After I collect this data, I will combine it using this way because I have to collect. In Airbnb they record it like in numbers actually. So maybe 2 refers to fridge, 1 refer to something else. So I have to replace this 1, 2 until 20 something, pool, whatever, into real words like pool, fridge, kitchen, whatever, using this kind of method. So yeah, I want to kind of like sum, right? So how do I do the sum? Basically, I have another data set. Let's say I have a final data set, and I will use my original data set, combine underscore data set, and I will say I want to group it by something. I want to group by, and just tell them what do I want to group it by. I want to group it by. Usually, it's let's say the date, right? But the date because if you notice, the dates here are recorded as in terms of there's a time here. So if you group it by that, it will be if you have a different hour, it will be considered 2 different things basically. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
If you have the same date, for example, 2019 0603, but the time is different, it will be considered as the 2 different things. So what I usually do is just standardize the data, right? So how do I standardize this data? First, before doing this is comment, by the way. Comment will not be executed. I will say that, okay, I want my combined data set and take the value of inquiry received, and I want to replace it by a list containing, this is called list comprehension. This is very similar to the loop. So I'll say like I want to turn it into just the date. If it makes sense, I want it to be turned into just the date. Or let's do this a simple way, because I know that between the date and this the time is separated by space, right? There's a space, right, separating it. I will say that I want to split this value with the space. So what do I mean? I think it's gonna be quite messy, this one. So comment again. Okay, so if I have a string, I have a string, hello world, and I print the string, I will have wait, combine combine data set. Okay, so I print the string hello world. I will receive hello space world, right? But then if I mention I want the string to be split with a space, what do you think it will output?
Hello and then world.
Yes, correct. I will separate it into hello and world. Therefore, I can access them just like a list. I want the first value. We can start with 0.
Hello.
Hello, right? So that's what we're doing with the date. I want the combined data set to be, so let's say I want the record or the data, whatever you want to call it, dot split by space and access the first value for data in this, basically, right? Something like this. So we want to replace all the value of inquiry underscore received by the list, which contain each iteration taken only the first values.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
How do you know what the first value is?
Sorry?
How do you know what the first value is? How?
Because the first value, it will split it in this from the left.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, there's a space between it. So the first value is the date itself. So that's the logic. Okay. So, but there will be a problem in this because wait, there's no problem. Why? Oh, there is a problem, right? The combined data set is not. Wait, it is. There's no problem. Why? Okay, that's good. No problem. And we see that the inquiry received is transformed into only the date. There's no time, right?
Because there was a space between the data.
Yeah, correct. That's called pre-processing, and this is what we do in scraping because scraping is very messy. We try to figure out how do we kind of make this into standard form. There
Interesting.
you go. Okay, so okay, since we have the inquiry received kind of like transformed into this date, we can group by the inquiry received now. Okay, let's try to print the final data set and see what's the output. So from this, we have final data set. We have group it because it's a group by function, and I want to say that I want the count. Just like this, if I'm mistaken. I forgot. Yeah, I think it is. No, it's not. I think it's dot count. I'm really bad at remembering codes. That's why I always look at the documentation, but I know the logic. And that's important. Okay. So yeah, here, okay, I think final data set dot count. Oh, we combine it. Okay, combine data set dot group by. Yeah, it's kind of like combined, but there is the date still exists. Why? That's the question, right?
I mean, the hours still exist, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why it's not combined because the date still exists.
Why do you keep on saying date when it's actually the time?
All right, the time still
Oh,
exists.
okay.
Sorry, yeah. The time still exists.
I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
I wasn't hallucinating.
Okay, this is correct, but then here it's wrong. So this is called debugging. When you have a code and it doesn't work as expected, it's not the code that's wrong. It's mostly you, right? that's how it works. Group by
Tell that to business development people.
data data split blah 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 blah. Group by I have a final data set and I want this final data set to be count by inquiry underscore receive. It correctly identified that I want to group it by inquiry underscore receive, but the date somewhat it's still there. But why? Why? Okay. Let's group it by other things that are more definite. Okay, I want to group
Did you
by
get rid of this to get the booking pace, Vidi?
booking pace. Yeah, we count it right, Kabayu? Booking pace.
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct. This is how we do it usually.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Group by inquiry received, right? Yeah. Wait. Right? Yeah. Sorry, because just now I only group inquiry received as a variable, and it does not recognize inquiry underscore received, but it will recognize it as a string because it's a string after all, right? We have been using it as a string. So if we produce a count,
What?
there you go. It works. It
But
will
then,
count.
Vidi, if I may ask, what was it doing before when inquiry received was a variable?
Yeah, because it tries to decipher what is the value of inquiry received as a variable. So we don't have a variable called inquiry underscore receive, right? We only have a column name, which we
Right.
show with a string.
So
And here, yep.
So then, why didn't it output an error instead of outputting
Um,
whatever it did?
Python is a wonderful language. There are a lot of people complain that the implementation of Python itself is faulty, but mostly it's due to a simplification of codes.
Okay.
Yep. But when we put inquiry receive, we receive the correct values. So we mean that in 2019, what's this? 2019 February of the third. What's this? 3rd of
February.
February into 2019, we have 17 inquiries. The 4th of February, we have
Oh,
20.
inquiry pace.
Yes. The inquiry pace, yes, correct.
Cool.
Vidi, I have a question.
Yep.
So, in this way, we process the inquiry received into date. We are splitting the as a string, right?
Yes.
Is there any function in Pandas that we can actually not processing by string, but by the data type. So
Oh,
like,
of course, yes.
yeah.
So if we try to print the initial data set, let's say the combined underscore data set, the types, you can see the data type that it's recognized by Python. So inquiry receive is marked as object, inquiry underscore message is as object. Property type, they kind of like guess that it's a floating number. But we can kind of like determine, we can assign a data type to each column.
What I mean is for getting the date from inquiry received. So inquiry received is a timestamp, right?
That's
It's
correct,
a
timestamp.
date time, right?
Yep.
So is there any function that actually we can just take the date out of
Oh
time?
yeah, of course, because it's collected as object. Therefore, I treat it as a string. But in the real implementation, I will kind of like initialize. This is very simple initialization of the uh, file into the variable because I only input the name. Therefore, it cannot. It doesn't know what's the data type of each values, right?
Hmm?
So usually I would attach this like what's the D type? Yeah, D type equal, and then I will put it as a list or a dictionary, the name of the column to the data type. So let's see.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you took it something. Yeah.
let me follow up with another question after Bali
Yep.
now. If you go down,
Yep.
could that act? Oh, okay. Could that actually really be the inquiry paste? Because it shows you have 17 messages for listing ID 17. Does that make any sense? Like one listing got 17 inquiries on
Oh
one.
no. It's on the particular date.
Okay. But then there's
Yeah.
a listing ID on the same row.
Yes. That's why we know it's correct because we have 17 different entry with the same inquiry received a value,
Oh, got it. Okay. Oh,
right?
yeah, okay. It's counting the values. Okay, got it.
Yes.
There's 17
If we group it, but yeah,
keys, there's 17 messages, there's 17. Okay. But
correct.
okay. So then for the February 7th one, there was probably a property that got two inquiries, right?
Yeah, probably.
Because
Probably.
that's why there was a lower number. Okay, interesting.
Yes. So that's why the property name is only 23, right? As opposed to so there are kind of like two inquiries for the same property because we only calculate the unique part. So
That's
what we will do usually is just to count based on the number of something else that is very definite that it must be this the unique must be unique. For example, inquiry ID.
That's fascinating, actually.
Inquiry ID will be unique. So we are sure that it's always distinct.
Got it. Hey, wait, actually, let me zoom out for a little bit. Hey, Bai, don't you find that pretty interesting that I used to think that the same property would get inquiries, but it seems like it's better if you have a diverse set of properties if you want to maximize the inquiries.
If we want inquiries, yes, but we don't want inquiries, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, we want like usually before at like prior to 2020, we would want to have more of the direct bookings, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, wow, that's a very like this very real actually the data
Oh,
that
yeah. No, but I'm just surprised. I used to think that even inquiries by you were more like concentrated on a few objects, but you can see across at least that's like what 10 days. They're all unique. All the inquiries coming in every day is unique to like each property. Okay, really fascinating. Really fascinating.
Yep.
I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
Yeah, so basically that's the simple operation. You can also do count, you can do sum, you can do average, whatever in this data set. And this is just an introduction to pandas. If you're interested in more about pandas and you want to explore the other methods, please look at the documentation because documentation is really good. So you have pandas and data frame, and you can see what are the attributes and functions that we can use. For example, just now I use dtypes, dot columns, whatever, dot head. Yeah, I use a lot of this, and you can for the instruction. It's very simple. You just click on it, and they will tell you what it does and how to use it. So as a programmer, it's very important for us to read documentation. And that's why it's also important for a program or developer to create a documentation. That's how it goes.
Wait, one quick question again. Is Pandas Vidi a function, an object, or what exactly is it?
When if there is a parenthesis after the dot something parenthesis, it's a function.
Okay.
If it's a D type, dot something, then there is no parenthesis. It's usually a attribute, just the contents of a variable inside that particular class.
Got it. And then Pandas itself is what?
Pandas is a library. It's a collection of modules. It's a module, a collection of script, a module, smaller module.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
So you don't have to repeat. Maybe I can create this count function myself, right? But
Okay.
because it's used across the world, people actually like, oh, let's centralize all this formulas or this function into one library, so that if I want to implement it again, I just have to call it. I don't have to put it from scratch.
Like a snippet.
Hmm?
Kind of like a snippet.
Yes, like a snippet.
Text expander.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Correct.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, I guess that's just a glimpse of how you can pre-process data using Pandas. And there are Pandas is kind of like one of the library that is used in data science to analyze. You can combine it with visualization. It's very usable. And just like in this example, we just do a simple code, but Mr. Jing just now got some kind of like insight regarding this the condition of the inquiries on the business itself. And yeah, that's how I usually do stuff. Just a little bit more longer.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Right.
Thank you for demystifying this process to me.
Yes. See, it's only like maybe if I create this, this is like not the best practice to write the code, but maybe if I kind of use like this and that, I can compress this code into like 10 line, 11 line, as opposed to 19 lines. But yeah, that's the gist of it. Are there any other questions regarding Pandas and how to operate it?
How do you get everybody to stay throughout the entire session?
I don't know. It's very interesting.
True. Okay.
If you feel that it's useful for you, I think it's gonna ease your life a lot.
Oh yeah,
Very-
totally.
Yeah.
I can see it sort of allows you like a chainsaw at your data in a way.
Yeah,
Or
correct.
instead of using a pocket knife to cut it. Okay. Pretty cool. Okay.
Right. Maybe any other questions from Lilis or Kabayu or Mr. Jing?
All good.
Okay,
Everything.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a glimpse of it.
I'll look for
next
it.
Next time we will try to scrape something, but not Airbnb. Okay?
Okay.
Not Airbnb.
We'll scrape Craigslist.
Is it allowed? If it's allowed, then it's okay.
I think so. Craigslist is like sort of the giving tree of the internet. Sort of just like,
Right.
okay, take this, take that, take.
Okay. Maybe a news portal or something else. It can be used. Like yeah, we'll learn about scraping and see how we can kind of like pre-process the data before putting it into Pandas.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds
Okay.
good. All right. Thank you for hosting
Thank you
tonight.
for